Today, I'd like to welcome to the podcast Mr. Kyle Matthews. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Kyle recently joined the amazing Helios team based here in Denver. Their work impacts entire organizations, helping them take an energy-based approach to work. The mission is to help people love work.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me. Great to be back for round 2.
Yes, I'm so excited. So I'm not going to ask you the first question because you already answered it. So today I'd like to know what your favorite food is and what your favorite restaurant is.
Oh man. Okay, so
'Cause you're a foodie.
favorite food. I am a foodie. My favorite food is that's an easy one. It's got to be authentic, home cooked paella. If you don't know what paella is,
That is not what I expected to come out of your mouth, but I love
yeah,
that
what
answer.
did you expect?
I
I'm
don't know.
curious.
Either
But
Italian.
Yeah, paella, but you know, I like a good seafood paella, but it needs to have some other meat in there as well.
Usually
I can't
it has
have
chicken
overarching.
and sausage.
Right, and so but
traditional
when
one.
it's done right, you know, and the rice is just perfect.
And saffron.
Oh, so good.
I actually went to Spain in high school. And
excellent.
my host family owned a restaurant.
Okay.
And they were like, what do you want for your last meal with us? And I was like, paella.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like authentic Spanish.
Absolutely.
It was awesome.
Favorite
do you get
restaurant?
that?
So there's a place downtown that makes a really good one, and I want to say 13 something. There's so many good restaurants in Denver. I will let you guys know if the name pops back in my head.
Yeah, you'll get there. We're going to be halfway
Yeah.
through with the other questions. And
Right,
be
I'll
like,
just
oh, wait.
yell a random restaurant. We'll have to cut it back in to bring everyone
It's
up
okay.
to speed. But favorite restaurant is so easy. Actually, I think we've taken our significant others there before. Calore.
Oh, yes.
Calore, these guys crush it every single time.
See,
Doesn't
I
matter
knew
if
you were
you
gonna
want
say
like
Calore.
pizza, you know, a little date night, little calzone, nothing too serious. Bring a bunch of friends, or if you want to go upscale and you want to get you know, a really nice Italian dish that's been done up well. They really do it all.
Awesome.
I don't think I've ever had a bad experience. So
Awesome.
easily Calore.
I like that one.
Those guys are like one of the co-owners, Chris. He's just a rock star. He makes sure that place is run very well.
I've actually never been there.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought we
you
did.
keep recommending it.
Well,
but
we need to do that.
Yeah.
We need to do that.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
We will. So first question for you. So you work with a lot of business owners. What trends are you seeing in the Denver business world for small businesses?
So I think that the ones that are getting ahead
Mm-hmm.
are leveraging technology, but they're not doing so at the expense of real relationship. They see the benefits of leveraging their time and also making sure that they get more eyeballs on what they're doing. But they're also making sure to maintain those real connections at the same time, and doing so in a way that elevates those in their network, which really just shines positively back on them. As far as other trends go, I don't want to get too sidetracked on this, but I think that right now folks are kind of hesitant or timid. I feel that
I've seen some
with
of that
what's
too.
going on in the economy, even though it's really strong, I believe that people are kind of holding their breath. And so they're moving forward, but they're kind of waiting to see what happens. You know, the geopolitical space is there's so much going on. Actually, talk about breaking news. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it looks like Facebook just announced that they'll be launching their Libra currency. So they're jumping into the crypto game.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And so I think that it's important to stay abreast of that. You know, I think that I'll be really candid as far as my take on that. I don't trust Facebook as an organization. So for me, I don't think it's a
As
bad
we're on
move.
Facebook Live.
As we're on Facebook Live, but that's
totally.
they shot themselves in the foot, and so I think that they started to do a good job of rebuilding that trust. But we got to lay down the groundwork. I
They
think
just
that,
grow so fast.
Yeah.
It's hard to rein things in when you're moving so fast.
So I think that's something that as business owners, we don't need to be experts at cryptocurrency unless that's your thing. But I do think that like anything else,
You need to pay attention.
you need to take your eyes up out of the business and be able to
See what's
look
coming.
around and see what's coming and watch the trends.
And we talk about crypto and blockchain a lot, just because it's an emerging technology that is going to change the face of pretty much every industry.
Sure.
We're going to watch it probably change the accounting industry faster than some other ones, just because it lends itself to self-audit. It lends itself to, lots of things that, and we have a lot of larger firms really adopting
Right.
blockchain already.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. The accounting industry is fastly adopting this industry that, or this technology where we've kind of been slower on other things.
Right,
But
right.
blockchain just makes the most sense for the accounting industry. But it's going to change the face of all industries and how we do business. So
Absolutely.
it's really funny. It's really interesting. So what trends are you seeing in business development for micro and small businesses? Did I kind of answer that?
We kind of touched on that, but I'm trying to think. What's another angle to look at that is. I'll say this: making smart choices about what tech you adopt, because oftentimes for me, speed of execution is important, and I think that when we look at our options, it's tough to decide because there are opportunities where you can adopt a piece of technology that will cover multiple things. For example, it's going to be your CRM, and it's also going to take care of your email marketing, right? But we need to look at, is it going to do both of those things as well as a single solution that's just focused on one avenue?
That's so true.
And that's going to change, right? That's going to change based on the business. That's going to change based on your specific wants and needs. And then really, if you don't use it, it's worthless. So how much time do you have as a business owner, or does someone on your team have to make sure that those two disparate pieces talk to each other, through a Zapier or whatever it is? And, full disclosure, I'm certainly no tech guru, but when you look around, we see that, this stuff's not going away.
Yeah, we're watching people adapt technology, but it's just so hard to choose. Like, there's just so many different platforms for so many different industries. I mean, the accounting industry, when we went to look for a new CRM, I had a dozen options that do different things.
And probably industry specific to broad.
Some of them are industry specific, some are not. It was very mind-boggling. So we just did a bunch of demos on the ones that we thought would be the best, and I let my team choose because I was like, which one are you going to use?
Right. So that's actually a huge takeaway is what are you actually going to use that's going to allow you to implement, and what. I think here's a good rule of thumb. I love a CRM that is going to allow for some customization to do work that lines up with my industry, and that allows me to interface with that information in a way that makes it powerful. So I love a CRM that's going to have a mobile app, right? Especially because when you're out in the field, right, you can't just say, oh, hold on, let me, go fire up, even my laptop. I need to be able to pull that up and say, oh, okay, yeah, I see when our last engagement was I think it might make sense for us to do that again, or and we need to access that information quickly and have a system that is powerful enough and yet robust enough to the point where we don't need Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi helps, but we need to be able to pull these stats up quickly, just using data.
And nimble enough. I like that.
Searchable, I guess, is another term.
So you are helping some businesses with business development right now. So my question for me is for me is, what are some of the biggest pieces of business development are you seeing that people need? So business growth, things like that. Like what are the big pieces in helping grow businesses, move businesses forward? We talked about technology, but what else are you seeing?
I think that one of the things is providing value. When you have a track record and a history of providing value, people look at you with less skepticism, and they're open to more possibilities, right? Which essentially is going to allow you to get from the type of sale that is a one-time sale to a place where now we start seeing how the dots connect, and it allows us to really raise the tide for all small business owners if we have an emphasis on doing that. We've built a network of strategic partners that will support that, right? We've all got each other top of mind, and we can be drawing those connections. Hey, who do we know that already knows everybody that we should know?
Right. And just providing the value also.
Provide the value, whether it's going to help you or not, because ultimately it will if you're authentic in those endeavors. And I think that you can take, I use kind of an improv, right? You've heard of the and, right? The and technique of and. So not only that one thing, but and what about this? What about this? And getting creative. So I will say creativity, and looking for different opportunities and solutions that can scale. So I don't know if that's clear enough.
So give me an example. So let's say I have a business that cleans houses. What is what piece of business development do I need? Like, how do I provide more value other than making sure like the service is good every time, or that your people don't smell like smoke, or like what, like how do we provide additional value on that, and then how do we also grow that to a business that really we can charge premium prices for?
Absolutely. So there's so much wrapped up in that.
I know.
I'll try and keep it all,
That's
all
totally fine.
compressed. But I think, number one, personally, I don't like going into something unless I can be the best. And I think that when you look at being able to effectively sell with integrity, your product or service needs to provide real value, do what it says it's going to do, and so to me there are some really big key pieces on alignment that start before it even gets to the business development guy, right? So if you're a business that hasn't done work on the purpose, right? Why you're doing this, your mission, a really clear idea of, what we're all about here. And then also I would say the values, right? These are the values that if someone is in your company, they are 100% on board with the values that have been laid out. If you're a business owner that says, hey, I want to bring in a biz dev guy, do that first, or do that, in conjunction, because otherwise it's not going to be across the organization. So you could have the best biz dev guy in the world, but if they go make a sale and then the picture that was described is not congruent with the service provided, there's going to be a rub there, and that's not going to multiply, right? Because what's going to multiply is that awesome experience,
The consistency,
and the consistency to continue to do that time and time again across the entire organization.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we provide value with consistency, and then making sure that the message is just always, it's very the same and in alignment and congruent. I really like that.
Well, then the other thing too, I'll add on top of that, because this is something that you mentioned that sparked this, was the idea that, right, nothing new, right? We've heard that we want to stay top of mind for customers, and I think that that's important, but I would also weave in there special moments and attention to detail. Right? If your client, let's say that you provide your client with an aged bottle of whiskey that is a really nice gift, but they're an alcoholic, that's not going to land too well. Right? So we need to authentically know who our customers are and do things that will really serve them and are lined up with the things that are important to them in their life, whether that's a quality item or a fun shared experience or whatever that is. I think those are the things that really land, because they're based out of authentic relationship.
Yeah, so taking that time to create relationships, but also communicate the relationship across the teams. I find in the CPA business that I'll have people come in to prepare, but they don't know these people, and so what I'm trying to do to build into our system is like just a paragraph where I've kind of explained who the people are or whatever that we can add on to,
Right.
I interfaced with the client and we actually talked about this and that and the other thing, but just kind of a running dialogue of who the client is, what their goals are, and
Well, I think it
how
comes
they work.
back to value, right? If I know what your goals are, every time I interact with you, I can try and push you forward to where you want to go.
Exactly.
And people see that.
Yeah, they do. And I think it's really cool to, watch them move forward too while you're constantly, oh, hey, you wanted to do that. Oh, or you're calling me about this thing and that doesn't align with the last thing we talked about.
Right.
Being able to like pull that up and be like, well, your goals were this.
Right.
And having that congruent through the whole organization, that's really helpful. And it's something I need to work on.
Yeah, the other thing that comes to mind is having a relationship with a customer that is resilient enough to allow for a second chance.
I love that.
Because at the end of the day, we're all going to mess up.
We're people.
Right?
We mess up.
We're human.
It's really cool.
But to have a relationship to the point where you get that phone call and, hey, like, here's what happened. Right? I think I said on the podcast last time I was here, was that extreme ownership mentality of, shoot, so sorry, how would you like to remedy this situation? Here's what I propose, here's what we can do. And I think that is a piece of business that's overlooked, and I think that, unfortunately, it's a differentiating factor.
It is.
Because
very
people
much.
come say, we're the best, this is what we do, and it's like, well, yes, but, I think what really defines an organization is what they do when things don't go quite so well.
I love that. To the cleaning people, our cleaning people, they actually broke something that was not cheap. And I emailed them and they remedied it, but we've worked with them for almost more than a decade now.
Yeah.
They've been our cleaners for more than a decade now, and I have the ability to just email or whatever. But the other side of that as a business or as a customer,
Right.
is to understand the value that people are providing you. We get it almost like, because our cleaning people are constantly raising wages, they have to raise prices.
Right.
And it's with some of the wage stuff going on in Colorado, it's mandated new wages for certain types of employees. They they send out the emails, okay, we're raising your rate to blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And I responded to that email, and I said, awesome, thanks for taking care of your people. You know, we love how they take care of us. We, you know, we love having you guys. You know, we're going to continue to be a customer, and you just, thanks for taking care of your people. And I get an email back from the owner, and he's like, I never get emails like this.
Yeah.
Because I understand what it's like to run a business. So I do try to like speak life into people. And he's like, usually we get complaints or nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so, but we get better service because we value them.
Right.
Or, you know, we see the value.
It's interesting that you say that too, because, you know, I think, again, not that great a situation, but oftentimes it births an opportunity to, you know, think about, you know, how that business owner felt. Well, what about the people on your team? How can you, you know, let's say that you are in a business development role, and you have people that are really the front line, and that is the situation. They basically don't get feedback unless they do something wrong. So I like to make opportunities for the good things. Hey, you did an awesome job, right? And so that's an opportunity as a business owner to go and seek feedback.
They also do that
from the customers of, okay, hey, what went right? You know, we love, you know, building up our team. So what went right? But then also have that opportunity to say, hey, anything that we could improve, right? And again, that allows for that open dialogue, which strengthens the resiliency of that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, because you can't really have a relationship if there's no like back and forth communication about, hey, this could have been better, or this was great, or whatever.
Right.
You know, when we have those conversations, then we have a relationship, and then people are more tied into your business.
And there's two schools of thought there, right?
Yeah.
One school of thought is, hey, no news is good news, right?
Yes.
And then, right, eventually, right? You know, versus just getting real nitty gritty and figuring it out, but being strong enough to put boundaries. Like I've seen you do that really well in your business, is to say,
I'm a good boundary one.
look, we're getting a little bit of scope creep here.
Yeah, it's something I've
I
worked
need
on
you
for
to
the
go
last-
down to storage B. It wouldn't be a proper podcast if we didn't put in an Office Space quote. So you're welcome, Facebook.
I don't think I've seen Office Space, but go ahead. I'm just going to laugh anyway, because I know that was an Office Space reference. I've just never seen the movie.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, we should remedy that.
I know they're staplers. That's pretty much all.
A red stapler.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Man, unbelievable.
I don't watch a lot of movies,
I don't either.
but song lyrics.
That's a classic.
I'm your girl. Okay, next page, Kyle. Do you like this? There's coffee all over Kyle's.
Coffee is a good thing.
Yeah.
So if you're out there doing biz dev every day, treat your body right, but there's nothing wrong with coffee.
You are a networking guru. How do you network to make powerful connections?
Yeah, so a few basic rules of thumb that come to my mind, and there's a few tricks to kind of help remember it. I think number one, set the intention when you walk in. Right? What are you looking to get out of this? Right? Because he who aims at nothing hits it every time. So I think that's the first thing. Number two is when I walk in, especially to a large event, I'll only take like 7 cards with me. Right? I'm not going to be throwing cards out there because you can't. Follow up is really where the magic happens, and you can't be following up properly with 20 people the next day because you won't have had proper engagement.
And full
with them.
disclosure, those are probably going to go in the trash.
Yeah, absolutely.
Full disclosure, I had a whole pile of cards of people that I thought maybe I would follow up
Right.
with, and I went through that pile. And I had one.
Yeah, we're all
person in
guilty
that.
of that. We
Yeah,
all have
we
that
all are.
stack, and we're
We
like,
all are.
someday I'm gonna. No,
We
we're
are.
not.
And I cleaned my
No, we're
desk 5
not.
or 6 times, and that card kept coming up, and I kept putting it back
Yep.
in my pile.
Yep.
So I finally wrote the email.
Yeah.
But really we're going to connect with one person. So being very selective about even whose cards you take.
Well, and when it
helpful.
comes to that person, that's when and this is tough, especially if you really like who you are. But be interested over being interesting.
Yes.
Right? Keep a good flow, right? But ask those questions that go beyond and show you as more of a person than a persona.
Yep.
And I think that's when people see that, you're real, and they tend to either react in a way that tells you should go meet somebody else, or in a way that invites you in, says, okay, yeah, this is a real connection. And so that's what's important, right? Like, you're going to find out who are those people that are like, yeah, there's a spark here. Let's continue this relationship, right?
It's funny. I've walked out of, or I've been in like initial coffee meetings or whatever, and then people are like literally telling me their life story, and they'll stop and be like, why am I telling you this? And I was like, people tell me stuff. It's totally fine.
Yeah, it happens. It's a thing.
It's a thing. People tell me their life stories, or, in that one, it was just like, their long history of, having babies or whatever. And I was just like, people tell me stuff. It's fine.
Yeah. The other thing too, that and obviously you don't know this right off the bat, but as I continue in a relationship, especially if I'm looking at like, okay, I'm looking at really doing business with this person on with a good amount of frequency. And one of the litmus tests is, would I have this person over for dinner, like into my home?
Would you make them one of your special margaritas?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So maybe we'll reveal the secret recipe. Maybe not.
It's in my text messages.
But
just email me.
wait, what? So that's important, because when it comes to being congruent nowadays, you've got so many options. You might as well work with people that you really trust. And if that's not the case, you need to ask yourself why, and you need to figure that out.
I like that.
Yeah.
So for you are a people connector. And so what is the most powerful way to facilitate connections?
So
let's say you have somebody you want to introduce to me. What do you find is the most powerful way or the most effective way to create connections between people?
So, yeah, good question. A couple thoughts come to mind. And the first is, asking good questions. Again, to figure out, where they want to go, what that looks like. And that really informs me as far as, maybe potentially resources that I have, opportunities, services, right? Or good connections. And those connections can be personal or professional, right? Like if I meet with somebody and they're at a rough spot in life, typically I can pull that out and I can sense that. And you really need to trust that intuition. And those are muscles that you build.
That's so true.
But, sometimes you hold back and sometimes say, forgive me if I'm overstepping here, but there's a really good connection to a coach that I know and trust. And I think they might be able to help you get way more value than I could provide in that department. And so it's, and that would be, an example of a personal connection. But to get more, I think, to the meat of your question, the ultimate way to make a connection is an email connection. Right? Because like you said, the business card, even if I say, right, like if your dryer stops working and I go, oh man, Jamie, I got the best appliance for repair guy. Oh, you know what? Actually, he was over a couple weeks ago, right? Here's his card. The chances of you calling that guy are slim and none.
Because you're giving me somebody that I have to do a phone call on, and
that too.
We know how I feel about phone calls,
right? Yeah, that's a good thing too. Like know your audience, know what people are going to do. But emails again, pretty ubiquitous across the board, and you got to know how to do that. So, and the reason why that's powerful is because you can quickly lay out what you see each party bringing to the table and why this is a good connection.
That's exactly
right?
what you do.
And so it's not a warm intro because I said so. You know, the only time I'll do that is when, let's say that I've talked to you personally and I've talked to the other party personally. I might do, hey, quick version of an intro in the interest of time, since I've spoken to both of you and you both agree, I'm going to let you guys take it from here and make the connection. But otherwise, I'll do a quick statement, you know, hey, XYZ startup owner, as you get moving, one of the things that you said that really isn't your forte is the numbers. Well, as I mentioned, I was going to connect you to Jamie, and this is really where she shines. And she's going to be forthcoming with you, whether she's going to be the right fit or not. But regardless, this is somebody that you want to meet, and they're going to help push you forward in an authentic way. Bloop, switch it around, and then make sure that you have good contact information.
That's always good.
What I will say is sometimes I'll even use that as a way to weed people out. Like if it's just somebody like somebody I just met, right? What I like to do is I like to include at the bottom, you know, I say happy connecting, see contact info below. Let me know if you have any other questions. And so I like to put the two email signatures at the bottom. And so if it's a newer one and I don't have that email signature, I'll go back to that person that I believe would find value in a connection. I'll say, hey, you know, per our conversation, I wanted to make the email introduction to Jamie. Could you please provide your email signature? And if they go dark on me, I mean, what do you want me to do, right?
Can't help you.
Yeah, not gonna work here anymore.
And it helps with. I love that you're weeding out the follow through. Like the people who can't follow through are not going to be good fits for anything you're doing.
Right.
And I really like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's important. All right, and not that you're gonna, you know, this shouldn't be, you know, for lack of a better term, like we're not gonna be shit testing anyone. But it's just, again, like, are you gonna show up as a professional and
be responsive
and keep the communication at a proper level?
Yeah.
And if you are, then I'm going to do everything that I can to push you forward.
One of the things I love about the way you make connections is you always say something super positive about each person and like how they would help each other. But every time you send one of those emails, I walk away feeling a little better about myself. And so you just kind of like, because you kind of drill into like our values or like who we are as people or like how we can help each other and how we like, you know, how it's a good fit. But I always walk away from them as being like, okay, Kyle knows me and he's making really good, you know, his whoever he's introducing me to is somebody that he knows that will be, you know, either a good fit or somebody can help or, you know, whatever.
Well, a couple good points in there. You know, I think first off, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. Those that way. And I think that I was given some really good introductions myself, and I kind of took some best practices.
Yeah, totally.
But you know, one of my strengths is positivity, and so I think I bring that naturally. But I tend to forget, and so that's a key piece. But then it also touches again on that intuition, because at the end of the day, people connect with people, and so, you know, even if it's a perfect services match, but I think people are going to be like oil and water. I'm going to be real hesitant to make that introduction to the point of potentially not making that introduction, which again, if you have a rich network, right? Like there are people that need accounting services that
you would never send to me.
I would never do it because it wouldn't work.
Thank you very much.
Right? Absolutely. And so that's something that we need to think about, which actually is a great point. Don't just, you know, make a shotgun approach to connecting people. It's absolutely quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
And knowing how people approach things. And so, you know, I've got, you know, probably 3 accountants that come to mind, and I break those up in terms of the services that they do best, but also personality. How they deliver those services, I think, is equally, if not more, important.
It's extremely important because you've got your audience, and then you know how to properly. So you have to know the people. So you have to.
Absolutely.
So you have to know your people. You have to spend the time actually connecting and understanding who they are and what they do. And then you're making super positive. Like, so you said positivity is one of your strengths, and I absolutely would agree with that. In knowing you, that making sure that there's positive energy in whatever you're like, that's your intention for that email, and it really comes through. And I think part of it is because I know you so well, but like I do feel that positive energy when I get emails or introduction emails from you, because you genuinely love to connect people.
Excellent. No, it's fun.
It works.
It's fun, right? I mean, that's another, that's one of my top values is fun. And if we're not having fun, count me out.
Nope, that's my dad's number one rule is have fun.
Excellent.
Okay, so I hear you were starting a YouTube channel or show. What do we call these YouTube shows?
You got me. You got me.
About car buying. What can you tell us about this new venture?
I appreciate you asking that question, because that's definitely a passion project of mine that, again, I'll start it like this. I wouldn't be able to do it with the strengths in my wheelhouse if it weren't for awesome people in my network. And so first and foremost, that's the bridge there, right?
Yeah,
if you treat people right, then when you come up short and you ask for help, you're going to get it in spades.
So true.
That's huge. And the fun part about it is we're looking to do a review show for different cars, but I think that we're going to touch on a reality that is true for a lot of relationships. The husband loves cars, supercar guy, and that's me. And the significant other,
she does not care.
Doesn't care, or
It's just not that
has different taste in cars, or whatever it is. So, I think first and foremost, my wife Christine is amazing. This is the type of gal that I'll ride a motorcycle for an hour and she'll be happy on the back. When we were dating, she used to take pictures off the back of a motorcycle, which is incredible. Most significant others, tell you to get rid of the bike. It's me or the bike, right? But
change for me.
She has recognized what makes me come alive, and so essentially this would be a review show that I can talk about the important aspects of a vehicle when it comes down to specs and why I like it or dislike it as a car guy. But then we have a real practical view, right, of look, I don't care how great the car is. I can't fit the stinking car seat in. It's awful.
I need 3. I need 3 in the back row.
Right. And so I think that people are going to crave, right? There's a lot of channels out there that are total bro channels. And I know this not just from conjecture, but
because
you literally see it's a 97%, because I watch them. It's a 97%, male to female viewer ratio. And so, we wanted something that was going to still appeal to car guys as they mature, and also tie into a really practical approach of, hey, if we're going to get a vehicle, what's something that can maybe be fun and also practical?
Yeah, I love that. And you could do even just 8 different age groups.
Sure.
And we'll talk about car seat stuff later, because we have to. I mean, we got car seats up to 12 years old now, so stuff has to fit, it has to work.
Yeah. So it's going to be real, and it's going to be, people are going to walk away watching something that is enjoyable, but they're also going to have some real deal information to, whether it's take to the barbecue or the dealership. So
I'm going to lend you my large children.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'll probably be borrowing children, vehicles, a whole bunch of stuff to make this happen.
Talking to dealerships.
but we're gonna have some fun.
I'm excited for you. I think
Cool.
it's going to be so fun.
Thank you.
So what is the easiest way for people to find you before I ask my last question?
Probably the best way is going to be either email or Instagram. I love a
LinkedIn.
good DM on the Instagram, Kyle the Inspirer. That's my personal brand. You'll find me there. But then LinkedIn is great as well.
Okay.
LinkedIn's a good
So hit Kyle
good
up
way
on
to do
any
it.
of those, and we'll link them all in the description
Perfect.
box as per the
Yeah.
usual.
But yeah, if you have questions, absolutely reach out, and we'll get you to the right resources for sure.
Do we have any questions or any comments in there? Okay. So what would be the one piece of advice you have for business owners looking to build a network and grow their businesses locally? Just one thing that they need to do.
One thing.
One thing. Top thing.
Man,
Kyle's
really
top
asking
number
me
one.
a lot to distill down.
I know.
I would say can it be 1.5?
Okay, fine.
I would say be real
Mm-hmm.
and ask great questions.
Ask the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just think you know the answer.
Right. Yeah, questions are key. And actually, I think that the best business development guy I know is my father, Mark Matthews, and the connections that he's able to make with people from all categories of life is incredible. And the questions that he gets away asking, like sometimes I've been there in person, I'm like, you just asked what?
Very.
But because they're asked in a way that's authentic and caring, it's incredible to see people open up to that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for
So,
coming.
thank you for having me.
Appreciate you. Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening. If you found this podcast to be inspiring, helpful, and entertaining, please like and subscribe. This helps us grow the community and reach more people. If you are interested in learning more about this episode's guest or accessing any of the books or other resources mentioned in this episode, be sure to check out the description box below. Until next time, be abundant.